Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear my voice. We're trying something new. I'm actually live streaming on YouTube that's connected to the Patreon. And I'm going to mute this for a second and see if I can hear myself. Yes, I can. All right. Thought we would do it this way today for our games demo. And since I'm so much more used to live streaming than I am to recording and editing and uploading. That since today we're doing just a games demo of Backgammon, and I'm just going to trust that the Patreon stream is okay. You should be able to, if you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and you got the unlisted share from the Discord, then you should be able to use comments. And if anybody wants to test that, just to make sure, I can see that the stream is significantly behind on YouTube. Twitch generally is within a few seconds, but YouTube is taking a little bit longer to get everything together. So hi, welcome to Grandma's Games Lab. This is a companion project to Grandma Plays a Game, which I've been doing on Twitch and YouTube for the last 3 years. And I wanted to put together a Patreon because I would like to give people a chance to support my work, as I've had some employment shakeups in the last year. And then also to really engage something I've wanted to do for a very long time, for years, ever since Freddie Wong and Rocket Jump put out Video Game High School. And keeping in mind, I was a school teacher for 10 years. It's my degree. I love teaching and education and brains and learning how brains work. I have always wanted to combine games and education. And I don't mean making educational games. I mean using games for teaching. And just now realizing I forgot to put some images in here. Okay. But I also noticed that as someone who plays video games now, that a lot of people tend to consider games they're for children. Games are for children. And having worked in home care and having an older parent, and just being aware and being with my grandmother when I was growing up, doing crossword puzzles and jumbles and things like that, how important puzzle solving, game playing, continuing to engage our synapses and all the neurons and dendrites and other little bits and pieces that make our thoughts happen and keep our brains healthy. You know, they talk about, as people get older, not staying still so much. We do tend to get sedentary as the older you get, the less you move. And yeah, I think that works for brains as well. You've got to keep that brain moving. You've got to keep those synapses firing. And so, yeah, I'm bringing my content over to Patreon. And my goal right now is to get somewhere to get more than 50 paid subscribers to the Patreon uh, by the end of October. If I can get more than that, that would make my life fabulous. I would like to get to 100 by the end of the year, if that's at all possible. So if you are able, please feel free to click. Oh, you can't click, I don't think. I can put the link in here. What happens if I do that? There you go. There's your Patreon link in the chat for the YouTube. I have never live streamed on YouTube before. And to make things even more exciting, 20 minutes before the hour, my internet died. So, Dragon Moon, hello, my love. Chat is working now. Brilliant. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate your company. We are using Tabletop Simulator today to look at Backgammon. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to do Backgammon is because last week, and you should see it in the posts on the Patreon, that we looked at the Royal Game of Ur, which is one of the oldest games ever discovered. It was found across the world in archaeological digs and things like that. So let me get Tabletop Simulator open. Open. I'm please don't crash the entire system. I have OBS. I could be live streaming directly to YouTube, but I know how to use OBS. Okay. And we'll go to here. How about that? There I am, teeny tiny grandma. Now the green screen is probably going to get stupid throughout the day. That's just a thing that happens, and it's not fun. I don't enjoy it, but it is a thing because the light changes in the place where I live pretty rapidly. And hopefully that microphone in frame won't be a problem for anybody because I didn't feel like messing with the camera. So, what do we have here? Backgammon is well over 3,000 years old. It was being played alongside games like Senet and alongside the Royal Game of Ur. Backgammon boards and tables have been found throughout history, and it's a fairly straightforward and simple game. Let me create a single player game here. Where is it? There it is. I'll bring this up in just a moment when I've had a chance to fix the table, because it always gives me a table I don't like. Okay, there we go. And camera view will be top down. Zoom. Interesting. Okay. Let me bring up. There. So now you can see we are taking a look at Backgammon. And this is a standard board. What we're looking at from the very get-go, the first thing you can notice is that the board has 12 what are called points on either side. Is it capturing my cursor? Do we have the cursor being captured? Should be. You love this game? Yay! I have not played for so long. I don't see the cursor on the preview. Huh, interesting. Interesting. So these triangles are called points. There are 12 points on either side of the board for 24 in total. You can't see the cursor. Fascinating, because the OBS... Hang on. The properties on this say... That's not locked, is it? No. That's going to be challenging. Is there a setting in... Oh, wait, here it is. That's why. That's why. Okay. Because I'm looking at OBS. Okay, now you should be able to see a little hand. Can you see the little hand? Is that being captured? It'll take a second. All right, so I'm going to keep double checking my... There it is. Yeah, all right, we see it. Now you can see it. Thank you for being here, Dragon Moon. You're the best. But I want to go through some basics because there's a lot about this game until I went to a YouTube channel called Backgammon Galaxy, and I highly recommend it. Backgammon Galaxy. It is fabulous. There is also the U.S. Backgammon Foundation. They have all sorts of great information. In fact, that's one of their pages that I have pulled up today. So I don't like having the board like that, but I'm not sure which color, if it's assigned me a color or not. Okay. We're going to flip the board like this so that I can, I want to go around like this. Try not to make them seasick, Grandma. You don't have motion blur in Tabletop Simulator. Not that we don't turn it off all the time anyway. And Tabletop Simulator is great. It does not have any rule sets. So you're not going to come into Tabletop Simulator. It's never going to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. But you have lots of workshops where people set up games like this and give you all the pieces. It's a great sandbox to play with. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way around the board for 24. Now, this area right here. Oh, I do have it backwards. Dang it. Okay, hang on. We'll flip it around so I have it backwards to my reference material. So we'll flip it around again this way so that I can call these things the correct things. Okay, this is white checker home board. So you have points, you have checkers. All the white checkers need to get into here. And once I get all 15 white checkers into this home board, then I can use my dice and start bearing them off. This is my die, my other die, and together we're calling them dice. So you can see that I have 2 checkers all the way back here on what is called the 24 spot. So where do we get some of those terms? Let me come back up here. And I am going to drop another image. On the screen. Oh, no. I have to go back and forth with the glasses. It's ridiculous. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right here. Right? So the white pieces come into here as their home board. Boop, boop. Let's cover up our board so we don't get confused about our pieces. All right, there we go. So you have a home board and you have an outer board. And then your opponent also has a home board and an outer board. And then there's this line along the center called the bar. So what are we going to do? We're going to do this. We'll just assume right now that we are playing the white checkers because they're easier to see. We're going to start at the 24 point with these 2 checkers, or the 13 point with these 5 checkers, or the 8 point with these 3 checkers, or the 6 point. The points are referred to by the player's orientation, like so. So if you are the white player, you have 2 checkers on 24, 5 checkers on 13, 3 checkers on 8, and 5 checkers on 6. Your goal is to get everybody down in here in 1 through 6. Your opponent will be doing the same thing. They'll just be doing it in reverse. Savvy? Now, when you get into advanced strategies and things like that, as I was watching, Backgammon Galaxy is hosted by a world champion. And he will tell you that, and I did not know any of this. I thought, oh, this is fun. We get everybody in here, and then once we're in here, we can bear the pieces off. And that's how we generally played backgammon. I honestly had no idea that there are 3 different win states, and the doubling cube is used to increase stakes in the game. Now, the Tabletop Simulator version, I don't think even has the doubling cube. I think this is just a generic, everyday, let's play to see who wins kind of a deal versus let's go to specific win states. Okay, so how do you move things in the game? If you're going to be trying to get all of your checkers moved, let's look at how that is accomplished. And we'll start a game and just start using our bits on the board. So we have our board with 24 total points, alternating colors. The color of the point does not matter. You can occupy any open point. An open point means there are no checkers on it. But if you're going to start the game, let's grab these. You guys come over here. I'll grab these, and you guys come over here so I can keep them straight, because as we were playing the Royal Game of I did get a little bit confused as to which side I was playing, which is why I said if anybody has Tabletop Simulator and you want to join a game, I will talk a little bit about the doubling cube. Dragon Moon says they're vaguely familiar with it but never played with it. Same. And I think because I didn't realize how many games were rooted in gambling, to be fair. And backgammon, as I read through the history, didn't necessarily start as a gambling game. And we'll get into some of the other terminology and why it's even called backgammon once we get going. So what happens to start the game is each player grabs a die. Oh, the bar is an actual, right? So we roll. I don't like it when dice get cocked. Meh. Okay. Each player will take... Yeah, it bumps into that. Oh, it's just heavy. Each player takes a die, and they roll their respective dice into the tray. And there we have 6-3. The color of the die with the higher number wins the roll. And that player will go first. The other die is maintained for the first move of the game. So no matter how this goes, if you get doubles, just roll again. I do love Tabletop Simulator. 3 and a 2. And this one, that says the dark colored checkers go first, and they must move 3 and 2. The other idea is on each die represents a single move. They can be used on one checker. So I could move a single checker. Let's stay down here. 1, 2, 3. And then I could move another single checker to any open point reflected on the die. 1, 2. So that one moved 3, and that one moved 2. But we don't have to do that. But no, stop it. Thank you. I still need to learn a little bit more about navigating Tabletop Simulator, but it's still really fun. So another way to do that, maybe you say, oh, okay, let's take this 3-2 roll, and I will move this checker here, 1, 2, 3. Now I could move the same checker 2 more, 1, 2. So while this represents 2 separate moves, both of those moves can be applied to the same checker. All right, so we're all working on the same page here. We take 1 die from each color, first roll of the game. 5 and a 2. I'm not going to worry about cocked dice because the physics in this are a little heavy. And we could roll out here in the table area, which maybe is the thing I want to do instead of... Although, wait a minute. I think it says a die throw is only legal if it lands in the board area. In fact, I think I saw that in a... there was a cheating thing that Backgammon Galaxy was working through and was like, oh man. No, I don't see the rule here in the U.S. Backgammon Federation. No, I think we're good. I think we're good. So let me show you the correct way because I'm pretty sure you do have to roll in here. So we're not going to worry about cocked dice. So again, we have the dark checkers get to go first because the dark die has a 5 on it. And the dark checkers need to move 5 and 2. Now, the dark checkers have a home board and an outer board. There are a whole lot of strategies, and people who understand the deep strategies of this game are going to be very frustrated watching this gameplay. I apologize in advance. I am not a great strategist in the game of backgammon. Meet me in Age of Empires 2. Which I'm not a great strategist there either, but, you know, I'm better at least. Okay. So, one of the most important things you can do is to just start getting your pieces moving. So let's just do a quick amateur move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't do it. And 1, 2 means I can't do it either as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because those are not open. So what do I want to do? Well, I suspect if I'm trying to get into here, 1, 2, and then I need to move another checker 5 spaces. I understand this is supposedly a classic blender. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm going to do that for right now because I want to explain another term in the game. Oh, hello, Moomin. How are you? Oh, I'm so sorry you got the cough. I'm so sorry you got the cough. I wish I could bring you soups. I made chicken yesterday. It was so tasty. Okay. What I want to address now, though, is when you have a single checker on a point. When you have a single checker on a point, it is referred to as a blot. And when you have a blot, something can happen where your blot can be hit. Your opponent can hit your blot if they roll something that allows them to land on it. So let's go ahead and start the white checker's turn. And they have rolled a 5 and a 1. Well, we already know there are 6 points inside each one of the boards. Dark home board, dark outer board, white home board, white outer board. Oh, golly. You both got it. Well, of course you did. I mean, when you share so much. So let's see if I have an opportunity. Well, I don't. This new monitor is so high res, I don't even need my glasses for it. All right, well, we'll just keep them nearby in case I need to read. All right. Let me see if I can just... Can I roll a 3? Can I? No, but I got double 6s. We'll talk about that again in a moment as well. Double 2s. Good heavens. These light colored checkers are definitely... All right, well, that's where we were. We were at 5 and 1. Let's imagine that this checker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I wasn't even counting properly. This checker can hit that blot. Now, what happens? See, when these are doubled up, you can't land on it. That is an occupied point. But when they are separated like this, any blot can be hit by an opponent's checker. I'm not going to read that one out loud. That's adorable. It's a cup of tea. I need to make a cup of tea. So the light colored checkers or white checkers can come over here and bip, hit that blot. What's going to happen is the blot goes to the bar. Now I have a blot on the white checker team, which means my opponent could hit me. I'm taking a real chance doing this. But as they say, it is better to play more aggressively than to play timidly. So, in for a penny, in for a pound, we have to play both numbers on the die. So, currently we have only played the 5 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We must play both dice, if possible. If it's not possible, then your turn ends. And if you can only play one of the 2 dice, you must play the larger one. If it is playable, you must play the larger number of the 2 dice. Okay, so we're going to move the 1. Well, guess what? I'm just going to go 1 more because we're in demo mode. It's not a big deal. And now, play passes to the dark checkers. I feel like it's hitting the terrain, but I'm not going to change the camera right now. We'll call it good. Because now I get to talk about doubles. And what do doubles mean? Well, instead of any kind of roll again, you don't get a roll again with doubles in backgammon. In fact, you don't ever get a roll again. What you get, though, is double the dice. So instead of having 2 3s, we just imagine that now I have 4 3s. That's what doubles mean. Whatever you roll on your doubles, now you have 4 of them. I probably should leave those up there. Let's just leave those up there. So that we can count them all off. Now, I have a checker on the bar. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is it COVID? Oh, Bubby, I am so sorry. And keeping in mind that the YouTube comments are even farther behind than the Twitch comments. There's a decided amount of lag here. Okay. Obligations when you have any number of checkers on the bar. The bar must be clear before you can move any other checker. No more checkers get to move. Only the bar. You have to bring this checker in, and you have to bring it in on your farthest board. Your opponent's inner board. So since this is the 24 point for the dark checkers, this is the 24 point for the light checkers, I have to come back in here as far away from the brown checker home board as I can. I must move in on one of these points. 1, 2, 3. The 3 point is open. So that die gets used up right here. 1, 2, 3. I cannot move that checker anymore because I must use these 3s. Now what? Well, let's see if I can run this checker. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, that would make it safe because right now it can be hit. Any of white's checkers could come in and take that little blot out. So why don't we? I can't hit any of white's checkers, but, you give up what you give up. So we'll take 1, 2, 3 to here. Then we'll take our next 3 to here. 1, 2, 3. I'm not landing on any points that are occupied, only moving to open points. 1, 2, 3. And now I've used up all 4 of my doubles. And we'll get rid of our extra dice. And that is the end of brown checker's turn. Does all of that make sense so far? These triangles are called points. There are 24 of them on the board. There are 15 checkers to move. This, if I am playing the white checkers, is white's home board, and I want to get all of my checkers into here. And this, if I'm playing brown, is the brown checker home board, and I want to get all the brown checkers into here. That's the goal. And for most of my growing up, that's pretty much how we played it, right? You just played it, and you grab your checkers and try as hard as you can to get them in the board and try not to get blots. And if you see your opponent with a blot, then by all means, why when I'm dragging my mouse down, does that move the other direction? It might, no, I cannot have it be even the slightest bit crooked. Okay. Now my glasses have fog on them because my hair is still wet. All right. So again, I am not teaching you backgammon strategies. If you want to learn big backgammon strategies, then I strongly recommend you go check out Backgammon Galaxy, where, oh, I've forgotten his name. He's really a very good instructor, and he describes things very well, and he has some beautiful backgammon boards and things like that. And I think it's important to learn from experts, and why I'm not over here trying to set myself up as an expert, because too many people on the internet do that. And that is not my goal. I am not an expert, but I will get you all the basics you need to move forward. Right, so that's where we are. Let's continue with white's turn. Now white has a 5-3. 1, 2, 3. I could go ahead and hit that blot. 1, 2, 3. I could knock this one back up to the bar. I cannot move 5 from here because this is a 6 point. Or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 point. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12. Okay. For a moment, I thought I really lost track of my counting. Okay. So, what do we want to do? Well, we have an opportunity to take out this blot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have an opportunity to take out both blots. But it would leave me with blots. If I were to move 5 from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would have a blot on the 2, a blot on the 3, And I could come over here and do 1, 2, 3, right? Let's do this so I can keep track of who's done what. Uh, and that would put 4 blots for the white checkers. Now, 4 blots in areas where it's going to be hard for the dark checkers to get them, but those dark checkers would go up here to the bar and would come back in. And a checker that is sent to the bar can bear into the board from the bar on a blot and knock them back. I would end up losing these checkers all the way back to my opponent's home board. That's a big loss. Not interested in doing that. So why don't we not do that? Don't do that. Come on. Thank you. Don't pick them up to move them. 5 comes back to here. 3 comes back to here. So what's going to be our better move? Well, maybe I'll try the same tactic as the brown checkers. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you watch Backgammon Galaxy, you will see tutorials on how to deal with every combination of dice possible in the game. A 3, 2. I could move this checker to safety. 1, 2. And then 1, 2, 3. Keep it moving. What are the chances that my opponent is going to roll a 1? My opponent would have to roll a 1. Or a 6, 3. Let's see what happens. 4, 3. Okay. As much as I want to hit that checker, it's already in my home board. So dumping it to the bar is really going to create an obstacle to my opponent that doesn't interfere with their position very much. Taking these guys out isn't as severe a wound as taking out somebody like this, who's made it all the way around to the brown checker outer board. So I've got to look at what's my strategic best move as white. One, 2, 3, 4. Can't move 4 there, but I can move 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get that checker on its way. And I know I can't move 4, 3 to here because that was a 5, 3 move. Okay. Brown checkers, go. A 3 and a 2. One, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm not really worried about having those blots out there. This one, again, is already in white's home board, so if it gets thrown to the bar, I lose a little bit trying to bring it back in. This one over here, well, that checker's way out here. And again, white checkers would have to roll a 6 or some combination that adds up to 6. And that does not. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's move it. If the brown checkers are going to get on the move, I'm going to take my checkers on the move as well. So one of the ways that you can interfere with your opponent getting out of your home board. So these pieces that start over here are effectively captives. What you want to try to do, and we'll talk this strategy a little bit for a moment, is to create a barrier, because now you can see how quickly and easily all of these pieces have escaped. Let's reset the board real quick, because I think it's pretty straightforward where we go from here. We roll the dice, we move the checkers, and the objective is to get all the brown checkers in the brown home board and all the white checkers in the white home board. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I took that checker out, and now it has to come back in over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't move it. It has to stay here. I have to move other checkers 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can do that. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't really want to do that. Because now we have a white checker up here. He's going to come back in on my home board. I could play very aggressively. That's 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just knocked another one of his checkers. But I have 2 more 4s to use because I rolled doubles. So let's see how that plays out when this is no longer a blot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it makes sense to move this blot out. This one is not allowed to move. One of these could move, but that would leave me with 2 blots when I have this point. This is called covered. Your point is covered when you have more than 1 checker on it. Let's go ahead and pop this guy in and see what white does. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because white needs to be able to pull both of these checkers off the bar before anybody else can move. All the other checkers are frozen until both of these checkers are back in. Here we go. What are you gonna roll? Nothing but cocked dice, but we'll call that a 3 and a 4 because they're readable. And oh no, look what's happened. That's the 3 point right there. Bippity boppity aboo. And brown checker goes up. Now, I can't move this checker or any other checker until this one comes in. But we also got a 4, and the 4 point is not covered, so there we go. Now, play passes to the brown checkers. A 5 and a 3. The 3 point is open, and the 5 point is open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 8 point. I need to memorize these. Or just put little numbers on them. Now, Dragon Moon, if you have Tabletop Simulator and would like to simulate a game together, I can make a multiplayer game. But for the moment, let's bring you in on the 5 point so I can move 1, 2, 3 and have reduce the blots. Reduce the blots on the board. Okay. Play passes back to the white checkers. I don't think that's allowed. Pretty sure it has to be a clear roll. A 3 and a 2. Oh, I can't. I'm moving this way. Remember which direction you're going. These guys are all going this way. Okay. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Can't go. 1, 2, 3. See how nicely that blocks progress? I think at this point, you do and you would love to. All right. Oh, marvelous. Yeah. At some point, I remember we did a community game in the Discord one day. It was Captain Washu and Zalfinian and myself. We all played Munchkin together. I would like to do more of that. And trying to get some membership boost for our Patreon stuff. In fact, I need to double check, and I might need to pop out real quick to take a break. So let me take a peek here and see how our live stream looks. Yay! It looks all right. That's a bit of all right over there. Okay, good. That's crazy. I've never tried to do all of this before. All right. So what I think we could do is let's dip out to a quick break. So we have our basics. We have the backgammon board has 24. These triangles are called points. Each player gets 15 checkers. These are called checkers. Each player gets 2 dice. Each one is called a die. I guess I could just do that. That's crazy. In the other game, you had to shake them to get them to roll. You start play with each player rolling 1. And whichever one of those is the larger number says who goes first. And that player must use both of these dice. Nobody rolls again. 1 black, 1 brown, 1 white, and 1 dark, 1 light. And then from there, you roll both of your own dice. But the very first roll of the game is the very first move of the game. And whoever has the higher number of pips, that's what these little dots are called. They're called pips. Whoever has the highest number of pips on their die is the player who goes first. Right? Okay. This is, you can see here, Brown's home board. And Brown's counting goes from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 24. And then White's home board is here. And White starts counting from here, where this would be 24 for Brown. This is 1 for White. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way around to 24. White has a home board and an outer board. Brown has a home board and an outer board. When you roll doubles, you effectively get 4 times that number instead of 2, but you do not roll again. How's that sound? We covered all the basics? Okay. Then what I would like to do is take a quick break. There we go. We can do that. And I will be back in, let's say, 2.5 minutes. We'll do it just like we do on stream. And I will pause recording. And we will be right back. And welcome back, everybody. If you can hear the sound of my voice, you have joined the Patreon demo of Backgammon. Welcome back. And why don't we let me come over here and set up a new game. And we can talk about some other aspects No, I don't want to open that. I want to open a new game. Okay, so we can reset everything on the board. There it is. Okay, I need to get a pair of glasses that has like bifocals. I need to get like official glasses. And Dragon Moon, I'm so glad you've been able to hang out with us. And Moomin, you as well. All the moons and mooms. I sure do hope that you and Wolfie start feeling better real soon. Okay, so back to our game. You all can hear me. I see the microphone is picking up. This is the, I made this pop filter out of a wet vac filter from the hardware store. Okay. We'll do this. Okay, so let me see if I've missed any of the basics. As outlined by the U.S. Backgammon Federation. And again, if you're interested in learning extensive strategies and things like that, then what you want to be able to do is go over to Backgammon Galaxy on YouTube. It's a great channel. Really effective instruction, lots of deep strategies. So what we want to look at now is basically an end game. Right, so why don't we set up an end game scenario? Very basic. Let me get that mouse out of the way. So, we'll just move all the checkers into their respective home boards, and we'll give people some not completely optimal setups. The most optimal setup, as I understood it from strategy, reading about strategy, is to have a big build on from this part of your home board to down here. So an optimal, hang on, not you, just you. Right, so you want to try to get this sort of a lineup, and that just allows you to maximize use of the dice. So in here, let's look at what happens when brown checkers have an optimal setup and the white checkers are, in fact, let's make them even worse. Suppose this is white's setup, and you're going to want to avoid this. You'll see why in a moment. Okay, let's make it brown's turn. Brown checkers get to go, and they roll 6 and a 2. Well, guess what? This is the 6 point, and that's the 2 point. Since all of the checkers, all of them, are in the home board, bearing off can now happen. Let's bear off the brown checkers to the left and the light colored checkers to the right. And we'll take a 6, and I'll come over here and pick up a 2, which in Tabletop Simulator you can do simply by holding a checker with the left click, hovering over anything you want to pick up with a right click, and then dropping it. In fact, I could do this if I wanted. Okay, all right. Now, let's see what happens over here. A 5 and a 1. Well, there's my 5 point, and there's my 1 point. I could also, if I wanted, because I can move a single checker to represent the counts on both dice, I could move 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, and pull a 6 point. And let's just do that. Let's just say that white does not understand very much about gameplay. And now we have the brown checkers with 6 and 4. That's my 6 point. That's my 4 point. Off we go. And there it is. A 4 and a 2. I don't have anything on the 4 point. I do have some checkers on the 2 point. But let's say once again, the white checkers just want to get all the stuff as far away as possible into the board. I can do 4 and 1, 2. A 3 and a 2. Well, we have somebody on the 5 point who can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. and a 5 and a 2. These have to be rolled exactly. When you are bearing off your checkers, well, we'll show you how to manage this. When you're bearing off your checkers, if you have anything on 5 or 2, you have to move it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can move this to there. I don't want to. I could move this off. You go over here. I could move this 1, 2. And let's just say white decides to do that because we don't know. I just want to show how messed up it can be when you get all of your checkers bunched up on these lower numbers. A 5 and a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2. 1, 2. It's entirely possible somebody's going, well, brown doesn't know how to play either. Okay, 4, 2. I do have a checker on the 2 point. That has to go. I do not have a checker on the 4 point. So I have to look at the next highest point, and a checker from that point must go. A 2 and a 1. 1, 2, 1. Doubles. Could not get luckier over here with the white checkers, to be fair, because now, as we know, that counts as this. So, maybe white isn't going to get into trouble for this. One, two, three, 4. All right. A 5 and a 2. We'll bear off the 5. And I don't want to do that. I would rather do this. Okay. 4 and a 1. Now I'm wondering if in tournament play because the Backgammon Federation rules say if there are no checkers on higher numbered points, the player is permitted and required to remove a checker from the highest point on which one of their checkers resides. A player is under no obligation to bear off if they can otherwise make a legal move. All of your active checkers must be in the home board to bear off. If any checker is hit during the bear off process, the player must... Oh, we can talk about that. We can talk about that. We can set up a game board situation to show off how that works. Okay. Let's see what happens. Well, I guess the strategy for the brown checkers didn't work out as intended. 5 and a 4. And there we go. It didn't turn out too terribly for white. I think the point truly of trying to get that pyramid with your checkers is that you take professional backgammon players will look at a piece like this and say that's on Brown's 24 point, right? Because this is Brown's home board, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around to 24. So in their minds, this checker is 24 pips because it will take 24 dice pips to get that checker all the way home. Does that make sense? If the checker were here, it would have a value of 1. When it's here, it has a value of 6. These 5 checkers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when taken all together, have a value of 30. 5 times 6. And so that there's a certain awareness of how all of those things happen, what they count for, and the likelihood of what is going to be rolled on the dice, and all of those things factor into competitive play. There's a lot more to be aware of in backgammon than what we knew as kids. So let us say that the brown checkers have almost all of their pieces in their home board, but this one got knocked onto the bar as it was traveling. This piece still has to come into here and go all the way around. Now suppose all the checkers, except for that last one, had made it around. This last checker is going in. And yet, here comes the white checkers. And they've rolled a 3 and a 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. Or they have a 4 and a 1. And they hit on their way home, because they're coming around this way, they hit this checker and knock it back off. Now, all of these checkers would be on the board. This is the last one to go. It's just trying to get home. Why do I feel like I've lost some checkers here? I feel like maybe there's stacks. There must be. Brown checkers will have to bring this checker onto the board on the 2 or the 5 and get it all the way back around before they can bear off anything else. Say they have already borne off a whole bunch of checkers, but this one got barred anyway. Well, it's going to have to come back in. And so you can see why there would be an optimization in having the triangle here if you have an opponent who still has a piece that could be put onto the bar. All right, so brown rolls 1, 2, 3, 4, and that checker now goes to the bar. When white tries to bear in and get back into the brown home board, their outermost board, well, they can come in on the 2, but they're trapped. They cannot use any of the other 2s. Not allowed. Also, I rolled outside the board, so that would be a party foul. Come here. So let's come up here. Let's see what else, what can white roll a 4 and a 1. You can come in on the 1, but you can't move. Right? All of these points are covered. There are no blots. Now we could suppose that maybe brown had borne off some checkers and we have a situation like this. White rolls in on the 1 and moves 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do that. And then brown checker gets barred and has to come back in over here. On a 3 and a 2. Well, there's the 2 point and there's the 3 point. Brown could not have rolled worse. It's really fascinating to me. There's a whole lot of strategy that you can employ in the game, and they will teach you in the Backgammon Galaxy classes how to form primes and other things like that that block your opponent. So let's talk about the terminology on the win states of the game. Okay. Scenario number 1. Let's put you in here. Okay, so brown has a checker that just got barred. And now they have to bear that checker in. They get a 1 and a 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They cannot take the 5. That point is occupied. They must take the 1. They cannot move 5. So they lose the rest of their turn. Suppose white had been bearing off. Oh, did it just flip that checker? That was funny. It acts like there's terrain sometimes. Okay. So brown checker came off the bar into here. They got trapped out here somehow. If white were able to bear off all of their checkers before this checker could get out, it would be called a backgammon, because there is a brown checker stuck in white's home board. That is the ultimate win state because it is worth 3 points. If you can bear off all your checkers and your opponent is still stuck over here. So let's say let's roll 5 and 2, da-da-da-da-da, and a 1 and a 3. 1, 2, 3, and you can't use the 1. So they lose half of that roll. All right. And a 3 and the 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. I could bar it again, but I leave myself open. A 4 and a 1. Can't move the 1, but I can move the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do this until we get some oh, let's oh, come on. 6. Let's get some box cars going here. You don't want me to do that, do you? All right, come on, you. There it is. So white rolls this, and we're going to take all 4 of these guys. 3 and a 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, guess what? This is gone. So now all of white's checkers are borne off, and brown still has a checker in an outer board. It's not on the home board, it's on the outer board. any checker trapped in here makes the win state into a gammon. White would win 2 points. 3 points for a backgammon, 2 points for a gammon. Let me make sure I'm showing this. And that's if the doubling cube has not been doubled at all. Now, if your opponent has not borne off any of their checkers, because you can't until they're all in the home board, even if you've started bearing off and somewhere in here you've barred your opponent's checker and they bear in and knock one of your checkers up to the bar, then you have to start all the way back over here and try again. So you can get into some real tense circumstances in the games. But what the doubling cube does is it doubles the value of the win. And the doubling cube then, so you're adding up points as you go. And the doubling cube, so as they say in here, at the end of the game, if the losing player has borne off at least one checker, they lose only the value showing on the doubling cube. And we don't have one in this game, but it's 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. And that's probably something you're going to want to watch a video about, because that's a lot of points accrual and points accounting that gets done outside what's happening with the checkers themselves. So you can lose the value of the doubling cube, twice the value of the doubling cube if you're gammoned, 3 times the value of the doubling cube if you're backgammoned. So all of white's checkers are borne off. Brown still has a checker stuck in here. Now, that's some of the cool stuff you can do. What else do we want to know? There are optional rules. And there are irregularities. So in the irregularities, it says, this is what we were talking about earlier. The dice must be rolled together and land flat on the surface of the right-hand section of the board. So, keeping in mind that the brown checkers are rolling in their right-hand section of the board and the white checkers are rolling in their right-hand section of the board. If a die lands outside that board, one of them rolls over here. Invalid. They must re-roll both of them. Now, as soon as you pick up your dice and roll, nothing else can happen for the previous turn. The previous turn is considered over. So if you notice something after you roll and you go, oh, wait a minute, hey, you were supposed to move 4, not 5, too late. Also, if your opponent is still moving and you pick up your dice and roll them, say they're bearing off pieces, you can lose your turn. So there's a whole lot of stuff to backgammon that you might not already know. Some of that stuff you do know. So there's also an interesting strategy that's used a lot called making a prime. And it is a way of stopping your opponent from escaping your home board. And what you want to do is cover as many of the points within 3 points of the bar as possible. Because if white is able to do that, now you look at brown trying to roll. They roll a 6 and a 3. 1, 2, 3, can't use it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, can't use it. They lose the entire turn. So when white goes a 4 and a 3, now it's much easier. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Brown is going to have to roll really high to get out of here, and they did not. They could do a 2 and a 1, which they are now required to do. If you can move any of the die, you must. White rolls a 5 and a 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can bop that up. Now, I don't think you want to do this because now you have 3 blots in the home board where brown needs to come into. But just the potentiality for things like that to dramatically affect gameplay and ways to stop your opponent from getting anywhere. Because when you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the highest roll they can make on the dice, they're completely stopped from doing that. And this is a way that you can ensure, or at least try to capitalize on the idea that you get a, okay, head on out there, Dragon Moon. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your company. Well, I'm going to close up shop here soon, too, because I've been talking for an hour and a half. And we're kind of getting to the end of things here. But do check out the Backgammon Federation. And one of the reasons why are we talking about backgammon today? Because so many of the earliest games involved counting and bearing off as much as strategy, but they also almost universally involved some kind of a randomizer like dice. And it wasn't until chess that you had a game that involved 0 randomization. So these games are fairly simple. You're using checkers, you have points. In Senate and the Royal Game of you were using boards that had blocks on them. Where is my there we go. So that's our Royal Game of that we demonstrated. There's a video on the Patreon for that. And what is it about games that have checkers like this that involve counting and bearing off and strategy, how to use your resources wisely, when is it acceptable to take a little bit of risk? When is it worth taking risk? These are all things that were important to early humans, especially when you're out hunting animals and things like that. When you're gathering plants, you need to understand what are your good strategies. Do you want to take all the berries off of a single plant, or do you want to take the ripest berries from 10 different plants? Also, when you're planting and doing things like that, it's important to know how to employ the resources you have at your disposal, because for the most part, You don't have a surfeit or a surplus of resources. You don't have unlimited energy. You don't have unlimited people. You don't have unlimited hours in a day, in a season. So you have to be able to strategize and maximize how you employ your resources day to day and make the most out of what you have. So that's why we look at the ancient games, at least for me, and why it fascinates me what parts of the human brain and that we're growing as a result. We'll talk more about that in episode 2. We just scratched the surface in the first episode about talking about uh, the first thing that develops in the brain is a mass, and then there's a density that comes in. And games help to promote all of that. But games were also really important to continue to hone the mental skills early humans needed to navigate their world and eventually become an apex predator instead of being just as likely to be a victim to a saber-toothed tiger as they were to take down a gazelle. And not that you're not out there hunting a gazelle a day either. When you look at indigenous peoples and the records we have of indigenous groups around the world, you can see what a subsistence living society valued, and domesticating animals and domesticating plants and things like that became very important over time. That allowed there to be a certain amount of surplus of resources, and we kind of enjoy that life where it's not just as much as you can handle every single day. But games have always been around to help us to become mentally more effective without all of the risk of trying to do that live while you're out in the field. So, play more games. Learn about yourself by how you play. What happens when you play a video game, say it's something like Dishonored, where you're given incredible amounts of power. You can play in a pacifist way, or you can play in a lethal way. What do you do with all of that power? And that's why we're going to continue on the Patreon and just keep nibbling away at why it's so good for us socially, emotionally, and physically to play games, and to play games that feed our brains in the same way that food feeds our bodies. And all that said, I am going to say goodbye for today and head on my way. I will see you in 2 weeks. Next week, we will do episode 2. And the week after that, every other week, will be a games demo. And I will announce that in the Patreon and in my Discord. So please feel free to join the community there. And hopefully sometime soon we can do some group gameplay and do some more community games and give people a place to hang out. Sound good to you? Sounds good to me. All right. Heading out.